I've been an atheist my whole life. I was raised without religion but strong moral values. Lying, cheating, and disobeying was strongly discouraged and usually involved a wooden spoon. When I was young, we weren't even allowed to say shut up to our other siblings or even use the word hate. We were also brought up to have a very strong work ethic and to be good citizens and kind people. My parents never discouraged us from exploring other religions. They were perfectly happy for us to learn about other religions, but I never felt a need to. I felt perfectly happy the way I was. Even when things went wrong, something good always came of it. It was like when bad things happened, it almost always made me excited because usually something good was going to happen. I always thought that people turned to a God because they needed to believe to explain things they didn't understand. I was perfectly happy just saying, I don't know how the universe came to be because our tiny little brains just can't understand it. I felt like it was giving up on gaining knowledge by simply saying it's because of God. I believe that people wanted to believe in something greater than them and mysterious because it gave them hope when they felt hopeless and gave them strength when they needed that support. And that's okay. I'm glad that people derive strength from a God. That's a good thing. I personally was okay just dying and having it just be the end. No more Heather. I've been around death in my hospice work, and it generally is so peaceful and happy. I'm not afraid at all what happens to us when we die. I've recently realized that people believe in God because he's real. Another thing I was wrong about was judging God and the teachings of Jesus and the Bible by bad behaviors of humans. And there's been a lot of bad behavior by humans. And there's a lot of bad preachers, rabbis, churches, and other people of power that take advantage of people's weaknesses. And there's a lot of bad humans who try to accumulate power by using religion. When I finally read the Bible, I was astonished on Jesus' total lack of trying to accumulate wealth or power or status or anything. His message was to help us, not himself. I mean, who does that? Jesus does. I mean, all the bad stuff that happened in the name of God or Jesus was man being bad, not God or Jesus. I'm telling you all this because I want you to understand my thought process of coming to believe in God. I want you to be inside my atheist mind so you can understand my transition to Christianity. I honestly never thought I'd be saying this. One of my first experiences exploring religion was going to a Bible study at one of my friend's house in middle school. While I was at Bible study, I was asking questions, and it soon became very clear that one of the moms there did not like my questions. I felt attacked, and I felt like a very bad person. She probably didn't mean to come across like that, but it was very obvious I should be asking those questions, and needless to say, that was the last Bible study I ever went to. I also remember some neighborhood kids calling me a devil worshiper. This really hurt my feelings because I knew I was a good person, and I didn't even believe in the devil. Obviously, this turned me off to religion and religious people. It just all seemed so hypocritical. Okay, now that you get me, on to the good stuff. For about 25 years, I've had this analogy that I call the dog in the pool filter theory to explain how humans understand God. This is how I came up with it. I was standing in the backyard with our dog, and all of a sudden our dog looked at the large pool filter because the engine started and it was making a really loud noise. I just thought it was so funny. I was wondering, what the heck is he thinking? He was just staring at it. What does he think it is? And I thought, there is no way he is ever going to understand what the pool filter is. No matter how many biscuits I give him, he's never going to understand what that is. And this is very much like how we can't understand God and the universe. It's too complex for us to understand. This was in the morning, by the way. I was drinking coffee. I wasn't high or drunk or anything like that. I mean, the minute a dog understands what a pool filter is, that is probably the end of the world, and I do not want to live in that world. The last 15 years, I've become more spiritual, believing that there really is something after life, that we have this soul or something in us that keeps on living after we've died. I've experienced the most goosebumpiest feelings being with people at the end of life and having experiences that are just impossible to explain. You've got to read the story about the neurosurgeon Dr. Eben Alexander, about his near-death experience, and stories like that from other skeptics and doctors. It's really quite compelling. Okay, the next step in me believing in God was like a light switch going on, and this was just in the last year or so. I was sitting in my living room, just thinking about God and just trying to understand it all, and then all of a sudden, blink! My dog and the pool filter theory that I'd always used for not believing in God was actually the reason for believing in God. It's not a fantasy to believe in a world that's greater and more incredible than we can understand. It'd be crazy to think that our walnut-sized brains could understand something so amazing. Just because the dog doesn't understand the pool filter doesn't mean it doesn't have a function. And I'm not trying to compare God to a pool filter or anything like that, but I think you get my point. My brain had been stuck by the ancient depictions of God and ancient paintings of God as an ancient man's way of reasoning life. God is not just an idea shown in the ancient paintings. He's something that we can feel, but we can't see. And you have to read astrophysicist Hugh Ross's writings about the Big Bang Theory and on how it's the chances are astronomically impossible for the Earth and nature and humans all to come about from just chance. This is kind of embarrassing to say this, but once I had this realization, I was like on the verge of tears for like 2 days. It was very emotional. I don't know why, but it was. And that moment I believed in a higher being, I felt like I could see new colors, not with my eyes, but by this little area inside my brain. My brain opened up to something that was so fantastic. Just everything made sense. I feel like there's this invisible part in all of our brains that's activated when we suddenly can recognize God. And this part in our brain is available to everyone. I feel different. Everything's different. I've read almost the whole Bible now, except I did skip some of the Old Testament. I believe that there were divine events that happened in the past, and there's plenty of historical documentation to support it. I'll probably do more videos in the future when I feel I need to, but there you go.